Good morning, Angelo State. Today we have the Angelo State cheer team for Fall 20, Spring 21. I'm Aaron Espinoza, an Inclusion Engagement Leader with the Multicultural and Student Activities programs. With me today is also Sonia Delgado, also an Inclusion and Engagement Leader. So let's go ahead and get started. How's everybody doing this morning?
Good.
Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and start with these questions. First question, Caitlin House, what do you want to do after this year?
After this year, I plan to teach at a school and coach a little competitive cheer team at a gym. Hopefully here in Angelo, but if not, that's okay too.
That's still a good plan. That's really good. It's more than I can say for myself anyway. Jose, what are you interested in that most people aren't?
I would most definitely say that reading an old-fashioned paper book, because nowadays everybody's like on their phones or computers, audiobooks, but I personally like to sit down and read, just open up a book.
See, I kind of share that in the sense that when the ebooks and Nook came out 5-7 years ago, I preferred a book because you don't have to charge an actual book in regards to that. Michaela, where do you get the majority of your news from?
Honestly, probably Twitter or my parents. I'm not big into the news.
I remain unbiased, so yeah, probably Twitter and Snapchat is probably where I get mine. Caesar, what fashion trend makes you cringe or laugh every time you see it?
Okay, a fashion trend that makes me cringe are the Nike Air Vapor Max Plus, because I don't like how those look. I think those are so ugly.
You're honest about it, so. All right. You're on mute, Sonia.
Okay, Caitlin. Yeah. If you were moving to another country but could only pack one carry-on size bag, what would you pack?
Well, I would pack some clothes, of course. Food I cannot live without, and my phone, and I think I'll be set.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan. Okay. Jose, what was cool when you were young but isn't cool now anymore?
I feel like the little what are they called? They have the little wheels and the shoes. You know what I'm talking about? What are they called?
Heelys.
Yeah, those. Most definitely, those were the most exciting thing ever as a kid. Just scooting around in school, and then you'd get in trouble by the teacher, and you can't wear those anymore. So most definitely that.
Yeah, I have Heelys somewhere in my closet for sure. They're just there. Okay, Michaela, when did something start out badly for you, but in the end was great?
Honestly, probably my move to Angelo. I don't really like change, and it was hard for me to make friends, but then I got involved at the school, and now I have friends for life. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad that worked out. Okay, Caesar, what is your favorite holiday movie?
My favorite holiday movie is The Grinch, because I can watch that every day up until Christmas.
Yes, I love that.
Caitlin, what artist or band do you always recommend when someone asks for music recommendations?
Okay, I don't have a specific favorite artist or band, but country music is my all-time favorite. But when we're in practice, I'm all about the throwbacks, 2000s throwbacks. So we get pretty crazy in practice to that music.
Jose, if animals could talk, which animal would be the most annoying?
Oh my God, literally chihuahuas. Just in general, their barking is just annoying. So just imagine how bad it would be if we were able to talk.
Oh no. Michaela, if you were given a PhD degree, but only based on the knowledge you have right now, what degree do you think you'd be given?
Probably psychology. It is my minor, but I am so interested in it that I learn more about it out of class than I do in class. So
Psychology is definitely something that you can really deep dive in there's so much like just different things where it branches off and goes into other things. But yeah, I definitely agree with
It's so interesting.
Caesar. What two things are terrible when separate but great when you put them together?
Cucumbers and vinegar. But when you put them together, they make pickles, and pickles are great.
So I actually do. I don't know if y'all do this, but it's pretty. I've heard it's pretty common. I actually like take a swig of apple cider vinegar on occasion just to like flush out my system. And it's like it tastes bad, but they say it's good for your like tract.
Yeah, is that like a detox?
Something like that.
Yeah, I need to do one of those. Okay, Caitlin, what is something that you thought you would give you buyer's regret, but in the end you love?
That I thought would what?
Like something that you would regret buying, but in the end you ended up liking it?
AirPods. I thought I would like never use them, and I thought I would lose them, but I use them all the time, and I keep them on my keychain, and they're very useful.
For sure. Those are actually on my wish list. Okay. Jose, if you were reincarnated as an animal based on your personality, what do you think you would be reincarnated as?
I definitely would say a giraffe, just because just on the cheer team in general, I feel like I'm the tallest, so like a giraffe.
Well, hey, that makes you stand out a little bit, if that's a good thing or not. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Michaela, if your pet suddenly spoke one sentence and never spoke again, what do you think they would say?
He'd probably ask to go on a lot more walks because he loves those.
That's awesome. Okay, Caesar, how ambitious do you consider yourself to be?
I would consider myself pretty ambitious because when I want to do something, I am determined to like achieve whatever I'm trying to do. So I would say I'm pretty ambitious.
That sounds awesome.
Caitlin, where's your go-to restaurant for amazing food?
Canes. Anybody who knows me knows that I eat canes almost every single day. It's honestly probably like a disease.
You still owe me cane cake.
It's pretty hard. I try really hard to limit fried food and carb intake, but Cane's is pretty good. There's times where I can't just resist that.
Yeah.
Jose, what bit of trivia do you know that is very interesting, but also quite useless?
Okay, so this one's like hard, but so like growing up, my dad was really like into like the NASCAR and like all that. So most definitely, I have it written down here. Shoot, I lost it. So, which racer holds the record for the most like Grand Prix wins? So like, so it's Michael Schwamarge, something like that. But yeah, like I grew up with my dad and like we hung out a lot and like we did like father-son bonding, kind of like embarrassing, but not really. But so I grew up around like the NASCAR kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So
hey, that's pretty cool. That's something that I didn't know. So, Michaela, what's your worst example of procrastination?
It'd actually probably be this semester. I had a project due at 5 a.m. and I didn't start it till 9 p.m. and I didn't finish till like 4 in the morning. It was a lot more than I thought it was gonna be, but I still got an A in the class, so
Look at
we're
you.
good.
Oh, I definitely feel that. I pulled an all-nighter for my microbiology exam this last week.
Oh.
Not fun. Not fun. Caesar, does the expiration date stop you from eating something even if it looks and tastes fine?
Absolutely. If it's past its expiration date, then I'm like, no, I don't need that in my life. I don't need that in my body.
See, I think I sit somewhere in the middle. Like milk, I will not touch if it's like the
No,
day.
that is an absolute no. Like liquid kind of stuff, if anyone does that, oh, I don't know if I could be friends with them.
Bread, I'll eat stale bread, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that before too. It's just really hard to chew because it's like really stale. Anyways, okay, Caitlin, what's the scariest movie you've seen that was not made into a horror movie?
So like that one that wasn't supposed to be a horror movie?
Yeah, like it like doesn't fit the category, but it was still scary.
Ooh. Well, like a lot of people say that Scream is not scary, but as soon as he pops up like at the back window, I have to turn it off every time. And a lot of people laugh at that movie, but like I cannot finish it. I've tried so many times.
I can't watch any at all, so like I'm not watching that one. Oops. Okay, Jose, what is a word you always misspell?
Oh my gosh, I'm really outing myself today. So, one word that I usually always misspell is definitely. I don't know. Like, I just don't know. I don't understand why. It never just like I'm always on the autocorrect all the time when I'm texting or like writing a paper, and I'm just like, wow, I'm really out here like not knowing how to spell definitely.
I always put defiantly, and it still doesn't go through my head that it's wrong. I don't know why. Okay, Michaela, what movie universe would be the worst to live out the rest of your life in?
I'd have to say DC because I don't like DC, but they always have a lot of bad things going on, so would not be fun.
That's true. Okay, Caesar, every day 12 things appear in your backyard. They are random, but all start with the letter of your choosing. What letter do you choose?
I would choose the letter M.
Money.
What starts with M?
Money, a monkey. Like, how dope would it to like a monkey to just appear in my backyard? I think that would be so cool. But yeah, like money, if money could randomly appear in my backyard and I wouldn't have to do anything, I would be so down for that.
That's really hard. That's definitely a loaded question because if you throw out like some letter like S, you're like, oh, strawberries, but you get too, man.
Yeah, I like had to think about it because I was like, one letter, I was like, okay, what starts with the same letter? And then it was kind of hard to figure out which one because there's like a lot of good options that you could choose.
All right. Caitlin, if your life was made into a movie, which actor would play you?
Oh my goodness. Melissa McCarthy. I love that girl. She's constantly cracking jokes. That would be me.
So this is totally off topic, but my favorite like part of the Heat is where she's in the parking lot and like she's like right here with like the window and she's like, they call her name or it's Sandra Bullock, but they call her name. She's like, duh.
I love the movie Identity Thief.
That one's one of my favorites too. Jose, do you like things to be carefully planned or do you prefer to just go with the flow?
Ooh, this is tough. Well, I agree with like both. I love to like plan ahead and like have everything the way it is. But at the same time, I'm the type of person like if it doesn't, okay, like I'm not gonna get annoyed by it or anything by any of that. But so a little bit of both.
That's good though. That's a good way to go about it. You know, like you're not. It's like with anything too extreme and it becomes a situation. But if you're balanced out, that's a pretty good way to go about it. Michaela, if hide and seek were a major sport in the Olympics, how do you think you'd do?
I think I'd be pretty good at it. I'm pretty small and I'm good at fitting into like tight spaces and I could fall asleep and no one would ever find me. So I feel like I definitely win.
Oh yeah. Caesar, what two animals would you like to switch the sounds they make?
I think it would be funny if a monkey and a lion would switch because a monkey is such a like small little animal and for it to have like a big lion roar come out of it and then for like a big lion to have like a little eek eek come out of it, I think that'd be so funny.
That'd be wild. You get thrown off so quick.
Okay, Caitlin, speaking of animals, what's the smartest thing you've seen an animal do?
I like it when dogs shake your hand. That is pretty smart. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty social of them to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, Jose, what product or service is way more expensive than it needs to be?
I feel like it is clothing. I feel like in general, clothing should just be free because like who wants to see like a random stranger just walking around naked? Like clothes is a necessity. Like we need clothes, and I feel like the fact that these brands are like hyping up prices is ridiculous, especially during these times when like things are like rationed, but like most definitely like clothes.
That's awesome. I never would have thought of that actually. So I like that answer. Um, Michaela, why did you believe way too long as a child?
Probably that boys had cooties. Terrified of it.
I think they still do. I'm just.
But yes.
Okay, Caesar, what futuristic thing from a sci-fi movie or book do you really wish existed right now?
I wish we had flying cars.
Same.
All right. Caitlin, when was the worst time you burst out into laughter?
Oh my gosh, I always do this. Okay, probably in practice and coach is trying to be serious and like we're in the back and something funny happens, but like we're not laughing at her, but something else happens that's so funny. I just can't hold it in.
I can definitely see that. Just a short time I was there, I can definitely see something like that happening.
Yeah.
Jose, if people were required to post the bad as well as the good stuff that happened to them on social media, what social media platforms would be more or less popular than they are now?
I feel like if we were like required to like do both in general, I feel like social media would be more popular just because like everybody loves a good scandal. Everybody, everybody wants to read everything. This person did that or this person's doing this, like nowadays we're always on our phones no matter what, whether it be on social media, calling someone or whatever. But I feel like social media would definitely like be more popular than it is right now.
Oh yeah, you'd get, like the filter of like Instagram with like the rawness of like what a world star video would be. So like I think you're right, it'd definitely be more popular. Michaela, what is the most annoying sound ever?
Okay, so like my biggest pet peeve is when people like repetitively tap like or click pins.
Uh-huh.
It just really drives me insane and it really tests my patience. So
I can see
don't do
that. Caesar, what was the last situation where something weird happened and everyone acted like it was normal and you weren't sure if you were crazy or everyone around you was crazy?
Okay, so this like recently happened to me. So I went to my friend's house for like the first time since quarantine. And so I went over and we were eating dinner and I felt something run against my foot. And little did I know that at the beginning of the quarantine, their little sister had gotten a pet ferret. And so I was flipping out and they were all calm. I was like, what are you doing? Like, why? And they're like, oh yeah, we forgot to tell you. I was like, yeah, you forgot to tell me.
That's wild.
Okay, here's the final question for all four of y'all, starting with the fourth year and going down to first year. And I think it's a really important question for like everyone to hear because people have misconceptions of like cheerleading and just like that sport in general. So the question is, it's a common misconception for many people to think that cheer is easy or shouldn't be a sport. And being a very integral part of Angelo State's community and image, what's your message to those people who may not understand the work you guys put into it? Starting with Caitlin.
My best explanation of cheer, to put it into other people's perspective, would be, we are lifting humans and like throwing them in the air, and it's our responsibility to catch them. We are not necessarily forced, but it's expected of us to do backflips and things like that. And, we don't always make it around, and sometimes we get hurt, but I would say the biggest responsibility is, you know, other people's bodies. I'm constantly throwing Michaela in the air, and, you know, I'm having to catch her and things like that. So I would say being a flyer is probably pretty scary. And it's just a big responsibility to catch them and make sure they don't get hurt. As like in other sports, you're just hitting each other. Like I could hit somebody all day, you know, but catching other people is like a pretty big responsibility.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Jose, what do you have to say about that?
So going off of what Caitlin said, definitely like what people don't realize is like all the work that we put in. You know, we're constantly practicing, we're working out, you know, we're cheering on like other teams and stuff. And people don't realize that we put in as much work as like any other sport, you know, and we throw humans, we are stacking people on top of each other. Like, it's just, I don't understand as to why like people don't consider it a sport or anything, you know, but like just in general, people just don't realize that we put in as much work as like any other team. And it just kind of annoys me because like I gave a speech one time in my kines class and everybody was just like, cheer's not a sport. I was like, well, you go in the gym and go put another person on top of you, but two other people on top of you. I'm just like, no, people just don't realize that we're all equally like capable of doing everything, you know? But like Caitlin said, like other sports are just constantly hitting or throwing a ball. We're putting people on top of each other. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think also part of that's like you have to make it look easy, and you also have to smile while doing it and keep a good appearance. As for like if you run track, like being sweaty and like huffing and puffing is like normal, you know, and like being
So
like
true.
you have to have an appearance, you have to keep it up, and at the same time you have to be like good ambassadors, and people like forget that.
Yeah.
And it's, like it can be really like frustrating sometimes. Yeah, Michaela, what do you think about people thinking that cheer isn't a sport?
So most people just think that we stand on the sidelines and shake our pom-poms, which we do. We cheer on sports, but it's a lot more than just that. Like Caitlin said, like we throw our bodies around. I have to do crazy things and stunts, and like Jose has to lift multiple people up at a time. And so it's just more complex than just shaking our pom-poms and smiling and waving. It's hard. There's a lot of injuries. Which, I mean, every sport has injuries, but it's really hard. And if you don't have like the right dedication and determination and the mentality for it, like you're not going to make it through. So I think everyone should try it just to realize how hard it really is.
Yeah, and like people kind of forget how much courage it takes to like go on top of another human and like fall. Like those, I actually hold my breath when I watch y'all like falling, and people think that's easy. That's actually really scary.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put your faith in everyone and just be like, they're there to catch me, but I still have to do this in the air and be thrown, and sometimes it's really scary. So.
And I'm like on top of like non like padded surfaces too, like just to trust your teammates with that, like that's so crazy.
Yeah, but they're really good at what they do. So.
Yeah, for sure. Caesar, what do you think about all of this?
Okay, well, I like lettered in 4 different sports in high school, and I was always putting in the same effort, if not more, than like I was putting in more effort at cheer practice, because it is harder, because people don't really understand how much we have to work. Because a lot of the times when we do a performance for people, they see like a 2-minute performance and they're like, oh, they just threw that together really quick, but they don't see like how many hours and how many days we put into that performance and how much like we work to make sure that it's perfect for them, so they think it's really good. And so they see it as something like easy and that everyone could probably do, but we see it as like something we have to work for and keep up with. Because I guarantee if someone was just like, oh, cheer's really easy, and we were like, you go out there and do what we just did, they couldn't do it.
Yeah, for sure. I love y'all's answers because like not many people get to hear others like speak their voice about that. They just have their opinions and they don't understand, and so pretty crazy. But I appreciate what y'all do. I think Aaron also. I don't know. What do you think?
Just from like, and this is coming from someone who couldn't handle like a week of their practice, because for a very, very short time I was on the cheer team, and it wasn't awful. so much, but like in my mind, there was so much anxiety and like going through my head, like, what if I don't catch, or what if I don't do something right? And it was like more in that fear that I couldn't. That was probably why I left. But it was more so that fear in the back of my head. But what you guys do is amazing. You know, there's that symbiosis of like trust between a flyer and, you know, a base, a thrower. I mean, that's something that just does not happen overnight, or just, it's not something that just happens naturally. You have to work at that. I remember leaving practices with bloody shoulders, where, like Jose was saying, you have upwards of two people on top of you. And for anybody who doesn't say that cheer isn't a sport, you know, talk to these people. This is not something they do lightly, you know, whereas the performance and practice both carry the same amount of risk from day to day. And you cannot, with that in mind, you cannot say that it is not a sport. So that's what I have to say about.
Yeah, no, like I actually did dance for 3 years, and we had a lift, and they wanted me to do it, and I was like, no way, like y'all are insane. And then someone else ended up doing it because she like volunteered at the last minute, and I was like so thankful. But like, no, it was just a lift. It wasn't even like a toss. To like, that's freaking crazy that you'll have to do that, and then like do it effortlessly and like land, and just like nothing just happens. Like it's totally normal. But yeah. All right, to close this out, thank you, Angelo State, for joining us on our weekly Cafecito episode. And thank you to Michaela, Caitlin, Caesar, and Jose for joining us. We really appreciated you and had a great time. So have a good week.
Thanks, guys.